Hello everyone, and welcome to a video on .NET Core login. I'm going to do a quick video on basically creating a login form about as quick as I can show you. So, to start with, you're going to want to have a version of Visual Studio. I'm going to be using the very latest of Visual Studio 29 as of filming this video. And I'm going to be it will not matter what .NET version you use, but I do advise using the latest just for security reasons, but in general you shouldn't need to worry too much as long as you're at least in 2 point and whatever number, and then 3 will be up. So let's start, shall we? First of all, as I'm on 2019, I get this window. So I'm going to do a blank project, and I'm going to not be using their template, but I will show you how to. So .NET Core Web Application. I'm going to name this YouTube.login tutorial. The only reason I'm putting a dot is because this is for you guys at YouTube, and I'm doing a login tutorial, so it's a namespace. So I've chosen to do it for that purpose, but you can name it whatever you like. I, by convention, tend to use just one name. So I tend to name my solution, let's call it YouTube, and this login tutorial. So that would be the way I've done it, but for this purpose, I'm not going to. Just wait for that to go. So I'm going to be doing it through MVC. This is .NET Core 3, but I'll put it down to 2.2 because that is more of a publicly available one and more advisable to use. So if I go to Web Application, MVC, and you can do all of these ORs, you can do these kinds of ones, and it'll pre-do a lot of it for you. But for this purpose, I'm going to create it all from scratch, but I'm only going to be doing login as more of a guide to give you a clue and give you kind of hint of how things work. So let's get started. As this is a quick one, if you guys would like me to do another one with you where you get more in-depth detail with everything, please do. I'm more than happy to go over that with you. But for now, let's stick with this, shall we? So, over we go. We've got our clean slate, and I'm going to quickly run it just so that you guys can see, at least briefly, what we're going to be looking at in terms of what we started with and what we end with. I am assuming here that you do know some C#, and you do know at least the basics of C# and the fundamentals of the C# language. But if you don't, then you should be able to follow along, just maybe not as well as the others. Anyway, so this is our blanks template. You've got your accept your cookies here up here. You've got your nice footer. It's not amazing, but it's there. Right. So for a start, let's go into here. We're going to want to create a few things. I'm going to want to create a data folder. Let's start with that, shall we? So we are going to need to stop that out. So what we're going to need to do is create a data folder. In this data folder, we are going to have our entity framework template, in which we're going to essentially create a nice structure for it to do all our SQL for us and make our lives a whole lot easier. We're just going to want a regular class, and for this, I'm going to call this login tutorial all DB context. So whenever we reference it, we know exactly what it is, basically. Cool, we've got a nice clean startup class, got all we need. Right. For this, because we're creating a login, we're going to use all of .NET's magic and out of the box. We're just going to reference identity DB context. And what this does is extend the DB context, their own identity DB context, of which we're going to use the identity user, which is a pre-built user. So we're going to need to create none of this. So if you want to just go here, press Control Dot. Using that, it will generate the user for you. And if you want to use that one, it'll do that for you. So now we've got what we need. You're going to need to do one more class. I will go through this a bit more once it's done, and I will go a bit more detail. But as I'm trying to do a quick tutorial, this is not going to go too in depth with everything, but it is going to be a overview of it all. Alright, now we're going to want to create a public constructor, sorry, not public one. Just a constructor, and we're going to want to give it a DB context options, and we're going to want to be a login tutorial DB context, and we're going to want to import entity framework. This just basically helps us with all the magic that it provides you and saves us a load of hassle, really. And we're going to want to pass it to the identity DB context. We're going to want to pass options so that it knows what it wants to do. And that's the start. But what we're going to add on top is we're going to go to database and we're going to do ensure created. And what this will do is when we load this up and trigger entity framework, it'll ensure the database is there for us, and if it's not, it'll create it, and if it is, it'll just fly by, and that basically saves us a lot of hassle. In real world scenarios, you're likely not going to need this. You can use like migrations and population scripts, but for this purpose, we're going to go and cut a few corners and make sure it all works, basically. Right. So now we have our base for our entity framework, where we just go, look, this is our entity framework. We want to inherit theirs, and we want to use an identity user of theirs. We also want to then pass in the options of which we're going to be generating in a minute, and bippity boppity boop, it works. Cool. Let's go into our startup, and we're going to want to put a couple of things in here. So it's got all our default stuff in here, but what we're going to need to use is add our own things. And what we're going to want to do is we are going to want to add stuff to the startup class, like our DB context, this one, couldn't remember the word. So we're going to want to tell the services to add a DB context to start with, so it knows what it's working with. And login tutorial, let's just DB context, and control dot using, and then we're just going to want to tell it options. We are going to have to import a couple of things, so options dot use SQL server, control dot, and we're just going to want to tell it configuration, which is what looks at our app settings over on the right, and that basically just gets it out of here, and we'll be adding it in a moment. So we just want to go configuration dot get connection string, and we're going to want to tell it to get the default DB connection. And there we go. That's all you need to do in any app to use DB context. You could use it without any identity at all. And what we're going to now do is going to add in our identity part of this app. So where we use our user manager or our sign-in manager, that sort of thing. And this allows us to do it basically. So if we services.add identity, we're going to want to use an identity user. And then we're going to want to tell it the roles is, again, it's pre-built roles. We are not going to build our own today, but if you guys would like to see a more in-depth tutorial of all this, please do let me know and I will get that out. Cool. Now we have a completely working, except for the add authorization, which we do need to add, which generally can go anywhere, but there we go. Cool, got it. Seems easier now. Right. We're now going to need to do a couple of more things before it's all ready to go. We're going to need to go here, add controller. We're going to need to add a account controller. Oh, I need to add it to app settings as well, the connection string. Once it's done that. Now for saving some time, I've just quickly got that in my clipboard. Basically that's the connection string you need. Just pause the video if you wish to look at it. And now we just need a login. And we're just going to return that view. But what we're going to be needing to be doing is importing a couple of things. Because sign in manager, and you're going to need that for a identity user. Sign in manager. So sign in manager will sign user in. User manager. No, sorry, identity user. Public. And just to save some time, user manager. Now we've got everything we need to get this working. We just need a couple more. Well, okay, we need to add in a model. We need to add in an account model. And then we'll have everything we need to get it all set up, that is. So we need call it a login view model. And we're going to want a public string user name, which we're gonna, for this purpose, gonna just set as an email address, and we're gonna do a public string password for the login, data type. This basically tells the UI and any validation you do exactly what you need to do. So this will just do a bit of validation to make sure it is an email. And this, but we won't be doing the validating it. We won't worry about that today. And this just basically tells the UI to create it as a password. So we want to go, and now we want to, so I have got it in my clipboard as well. As a, we want to create this, but we want to create it so that it creates a temp, so it creates a, did I not? Oh, I created it as a login view model, which is probably better anyway. That is our login. I'm going to want to tell it to user models. And so we're going to not want that, sorry that I pre-built wrong, it's sign in manager. Dot sign in async, which will take a couple of details. So it's sign in with password, I believe. Password sign in, and it should take a username. Well, a user, so we'll need to generate the user. Actually, no, we don't. No, we don't. I am right. Sorry. So you get a few options basically. There we go. There's your username, password. That's what I'm missing. So we've told it to persist, which you can tell it false if you want, but I'm also going to tell it to block out failure. So if you fail it too many times, and I just need to local redirect, So that essentially tells it if you're not on local redirect, then go away. and it's not errors, it's different types. So we're just going to return an error point blank of you're not authenticated, basically. Model state dot add model errors incorrect user name or password. There we go, that'll then pop up to the user. That's right, we've got our basic login. I missed out one of them. This was the one I thought I had in my clipboard, but I didn't. This one is going to that's the one I want. Good thing for a telesensor. Yep, again, that's not what I wanted, but okay. I seem to have messed up my own thing. So we're going to put it as m@m.com. And we're just going to make the email the same thing because it looks like the username, not the email, but there. And that'll create a user with that. Find by name, which I did not put in. Dot find by email. That'll do. And we just want to copy and paste that. That'll then find it by the email. We'll get the user. If the user is null, then we'll generate one. If it's not, we can create it. It basically saves us time later on. I'm not going to create a register one right now, but I will in the future because that requires a lot longer because you need a lot more validation and security and things. Right, so now we have all of our back-end stuff. I'm going to put some breakpoints so at least we can reach it, and if any errors occur, we can see the errors happening. We're going to go into our views, and actually we're going to tell it to add a view from here. We are not, however, going to tell it, we're going to do it without a model. What we're going to do is call it login, and we are just going to literally add, and it'll add the folder here and the thing for us over here. So if I go here, I go to login. I have again got this in the clipboard, and this one's actually right. Got a nice multi-leveled clipboard. It's pre-default in Windows 10 now. We need to tell it to model though. Model is, and we're going to need to declare this, is login. There you go. It should now pick them up. There we go, it's picked them up. And we don't actually need to specify the type as text or password. It should pick them up for us. But I got that pre-default. And anyway, and we are now good to go for the login front. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into index here, and what I'm going to do is if user.identity.is authenticated. So if we're not, we won't do anything. I'm going to put in nice bold text and just say user.identity.name. And we'll know we're authenticated basically. And if we're not, else H5, a nice small text, and authorized. Yeah, unauthorized. So now we've got everything done. Shall we give it a go? Now this is the moment of truth where the DB context did build properly. It should be in the output window here. There you go. And now we've got a nice unauthorized text here. But if I go into, and I believe it's account login, and there we go. There we go, that's my bad. So what the issue was, is I've told it there's several ways to do one thing. And what we shouldn't do is that, because they all can do any method basically. So what we want to do here is HTTP get, and at the bottom, we want to tell this is only post. This is security as well, because you don't want someone to get to a post and post to a get. Well, you can on a but you wouldn't usually. So we are almost done, and what we're going to do now is that is done. We are going to go here. We're going to press home and authorize. So I can account login. and I believe that's generating it up for us, and it may fail over, we don't know. But what it'll be doing is in the background is showing exists if it doesn't, creating it. So it looks like that was successful. Yep, there you go. You can see it was, because I have got SQL Express installed, which you usually can get pre-installed with stuff like this. So I've gone, checked, it doesn't exist, it equals null. It's null, we generate the user. We're going to create the user, it's now created. We can now log in, and we can log in with m@m.com. So now if I go here, if I tell it m@m.com, and I tell it password 123, enter, just log in, it should. I've done a lot of interesting fails, haven't I? I need to tell that to do another form. And another thing I should do for security purposes, to be fair, is so if I tell it ASP action, this adds a anti-forgery cookie, and this will prevent some issues with the app. So it prevents cross-site attacks, basically. So someone can't just log in to your app through like an external authorization. They have to be on your app, otherwise it won't work because of cookies and things. So validate anti-forgery cookie, redo it, and fingers crossed, guys. Fingers crossed. Only so many times I can forget things, right? Account, login. Okay guys, now I should be able to log in with that credentials. Alright. Go. Results succeeded because I am successfully added. And if it's a local URL, which is by default is just slash, it will, basically making sure that you can't redirect a user to another site, preventing someone simply going, yeah, I'll let you log in there, but I've told you to return to my site, and then it prevents a whole load of issues. Let's comment that, let's go. It should send us back to home, and as you can see, we're authenticated and we're all in. This has been DIT Guys 99 on a .NET Core login tutorial. Thanks for watching. Bye.